What is the most impactful case you had?
Oh, but it's most impactful case I have. Okay. So well, I mean, so there are many interesting cases I've worked with, but um I'll say one of the cases, where I was able to help my client and was he was actually charged with I think 72 different charges, and then with actually with a potential of being it's actually a criminal case, and with a potential of being locked away for over 30 years. Um, so it was actually a case where he was charged with defrauding people with credit cards, um, and then basically working with a team of criminals. But it ended up, obviously that's not the case with him. He was actually a victim himself. And so seeing a person, who's being charged with many of these very very severe uh, criminal charges with potential severe punishments. It is a duty for me to to help my client and to clear himself of these charges. It ended up what ended up happening was actually we were able to completely get rid of all these charges, and he did not have to stay a single day in the jail. And then it was unbelievable, and he obviously he was in tears. He was a very very um happy. And then he you know he told me he made a mistake, but he promises, like, going forward he's going to be as a good of a citizen as he can be. And he so it's that kind of cases, where you actually have personal impact on a on a person, where if he's he was in his 20s, right? If he's being locked away for 30 years, by the time he get out of jail, he will be in his 50s, and losing 30 years, in real life. And even by the time you get out of jail, it's going to be a completely different world, especially with the pace that technology is moving. And more important thing is, obviously this young person made a mistake, but he a lot of the charges actually was not relevant to what he did. And so I felt there's a obligation for me to actually help him and to get rid of these charges. And that was one of the cases that where I felt I actually changed that person on a personal level, not just monetary impact.
So, who or what inspired you to become a lawyer?
Oh, okay. So this is actually an interesting question. So um, before becoming a lawyer, I was actually working on Wall Street, like for Morgan Stanley, investment bank. So I mean, I was dealing a lot with money, right? Constantly, right? And then the first project that I got worked on, was actually a $300 million project. And so obviously you were earning a lot of income, and then a lot of students who graduated from top schools wanted to get into investment bank to earn money. But for me, after a while, I just felt there are certain values that are more important to me, such as helping people solve problems on a personal level, beyond just money. So that's where I actually got interested in wanted to actually become a lawyer, to actually help people solve just not just monetary problems, but actually problems on a personal level that will actually touch them personally.
Um, so what did you do in high school that made you stand out from the crowd?
Well, okay, so this is interesting. So I was not born in the United States. So my I came to US at age of 13 without knowing any English. So it's however, as most of Asian Americans are actually first and second generation immigrants, and my parents have placed heavy emphasis, on education and hard work as a bedrock for future success. Um, so coming into the United States at age of 13, obviously I have to overcome the language barrier, and then I have to develop a certain self-discipline, and to catch up, and then also to develop my own study behavior. So it's a combination of these um emphasis on studying, hard work, self-discipline, and interacting with the uh, friends, you think that may help you improve yourself. And then also, actively participated in competitions like engineering competition and math competition. So it's a combination of these in totality of circumstances that actually helped me do well throughout the high school.
So you mentioned how you had to overcome the language barrier when you first moved here. So like building off on that, how did like being an Asian American immigrant affect your decision to become a lawyer, and how did it affect just like overall what you did like in your career, like socially or just anything?
Okay, so first of all, I was fortunate enough to have taken up multiple roles in my career, including software engineer, financial analyst, business entrepreneur, and a lawyer. So I've worked for companies including top Wall Street investment bank, Morgan Stanley, world-renowned auction house Sotheby's, starting my real estate investment business and my law firm. So, and most of Asian Americans are first and second generation immigrants. And my parents, have uh, placed emphasis, on education and hard work as a bedrock for future success. And, and thanks to my parents, my own career has benefited benefited from these values tremendously, so and in terms of how I finally decided to become an attorney, it's a combination of these Asian American value, but then also my personal inner feeling of wanting to actually connect with the Asian American community, and then also help them solve problems on a personal level. So that's why my office is actually based in Brooklyn, Chinatown. It's where actually I interact with a lot of Asian Americans and a lot of Chinese Americans, because I feel like um, working for these top reputable firm like Morgan Stanley, Sotheby's, it's very rewarding. Obviously, in you get a lot of pay, and then you also get to interact with many, many very, very intelligent people. However, there's also a sense of responsibility. For me as an Asian American, I feel like uh, there's a responsibility that for me to actually reach out to the people from similar background that needed help on a personal level. So that's why I actually diverge from the path that many kids from Ivy Leagues, actually wanted to seek out to get into an investment bank. I actually took the route where I was making a lot of money, and I was actually uh, uh, you know uh, a working in a position where many people wanted to get, but may not get it. But I was in that position already, but I ended up wanting to actually reach out to the group, Asian community, where I want to actually interact with them. I want to actually help them on a personal level and then get a deeper understanding of the culture.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So my next question is, what is some advice that you would have for high schoolers that want to become a lawyer?
Okay. So there are several things, right? I mean, so I think joining a debate team would be a great start, and mock trials, and these are great ways to enhance your communication skill. Being a lawyer, obviously you're going to be doing a lot of communication, talking, writing, and debating, mock trial, these will definitely enhance and benefit you in the long run. And also, it improves your logical thinking as well. Obviously, as you doing these debates, you are thinking, how to answer your opponent's questions, how to defend your own argument. These are, great way of training your brain to think logically. And then also, of some of the most popular majors that lawyers, study in their undergrad before becoming lawyers typically involve philosophy, history. So these are two of the most popular majors, I'll say, like many lawyers, study before they went to law school. And I think, and also just pure interaction with the intelligent people, logical people, it would be another way of sort of paving the path to become a good lawyer. Yeah.
How is becoming a lawyer experience different now than from the past?
Okay. All right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, so I have so like I say, I was a software engineer, I was a financial analyst, I was a business entrepreneur, and right now I'm a lawyer. So it's so when I was a software engineer, right? So I actually built a lot of these very interesting software systems, like including business intelligence systems and systems for hospitals, and then systems for banks. And then as a financial analyst, you study a lot about stock market, financial market, and you do a lot of calculation, analysis, on what your best investments might be. And then as far as so as far as a business entrepreneur, I actually, invested in real estate soon after I graduated from college. So, and investing multiple properties, across in different areas of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. So it's these different roles all obviously requires different set of skills. And then, but being an attorney, I would say, the biggest difference, it would be actually there's a lot of interaction with clients, right? So, I get to have a face-to-face interaction with my clients all the time, almost on the daily basis. But whereas in the other positions, I don't necessarily need to interact with my clients on a daily basis. So that's one big difference. Second of all, a lot of the other things I was doing, involve a lot with money, especially when I worked on Wall Street, everything was just money, and then I was basically focusing on how to make a lot of money, right? And then, or, generating a lot of revenue or income for my employer or my clients. But as a lawyer, my focus will be how I can help my clients, get the results they wanted, what they deserve. And this could involve money, but then it could also involve deeper level of satisfaction, on a personal level, not, beyond a monetary level. Um, so these are the major differences, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So would you say that law is like an industry that changes quickly or something that's very constant?
It changes all the time. So I will give you one example. Like of course, I do a lot of practice in many areas, but landlord tenant law during pandemic has seen the biggest change in over 50 years. And there's so many statutes, got changed. And then even the attorneys who have been practicing for over 20 years have to relearn to keep up with the new changes. In terms of, for example, how many days of notice you got to serve tenants to evict the tenants, and then what kinds of the motions you got to file to continue your eviction, despite you might have already gotten a judgment from the judge, because there was a moratorium on the eviction proceeding. So law is a very dynamic field. It's a very different from what many people perceive. Many people perceive a law as a being constant. There's a very little change, but that's not the case, because you have to follow up. You have to constantly be learning the changes in order to help your clients in a efficient and a correct manner, because otherwise, a simple mistake might delay your client's cases for a very long time, and then you might actually detriment your client in many ways. So it is not what many people perceive as a dinosaur type of practice where there's very, very few change. It is very, very actually a dynamic driven, especially these days. You have a lot of artificial intelligence and technology being integrated into legal practice. And there's for example, there's a LexisNexis and there's a Westlaw. These are basically two robust legal platforms where many litigation attorneys do research on their software platform. Yeah, so it's a very dynamic field and a very interesting. So for people who want to get into legal practice, there are tons of things you could do. You can change, you can contribute to this dynamic field.
What kept you motivated through all of your years of schooling?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I actually it's just, but for me it's just a life. It's a process of a constant learning. I don't think studying stops after you finish your college or finish your bachelor's degree. I think for as a human being, right, I'm always curious about things that I want to learn, and that's what makes life interesting. It's like if you're just learn one thing and you think that's the entire universe, and then life will be very, very boring. For me, I really want to actually learn as much as possible throughout my entire life. Just put myself in the shoes of a high school student, right? And keep learning, keep expanding your knowledge. And I think that's actually really, really rewarding and fun process.
So my last question for today is you mentioned that you have multiple degrees. So
Yeah.
can you specify which degrees and also how each degree led you to where you are today?
Okay. Okay. So, I was so when I was in high school, I was very, very good with math. Like, it's like it came to me easily, like without very much preparation. I'll be able to like get hundreds of like throughout entire semester, for example, like, on my math and then so I was in a lot of competitions, when I was in high school. And so when when I went to college, obviously, I say, all right, so this came to me naturally. So I might as well just get a major in mathematics. Then computer science, was at the age where it was actually booming, which, where people would actually get high paying jobs and then can actually get jobs easily after graduation. So so that's why I picked computer science and mathematics. And also, actually the foundation of a computer science is all based on mathematics. So these two things tie together, tie together easily, has a very close connection. So it was very easy for me. So after, so before I even finished my college, my professor was, suggesting I should, just get into a PhD program. And then but the thing was, I already had multiple offers, given to me, before I even graduated, and job offers. I was like, all right, I want to go out there and experience, the real life, and instead of just be in academic, or in my entire life. So I took the job offer, and then after working a couple years as a um uh, as a software engineer and business consultant, and I felt I want to actually build on my computer science knowledge. So that's why, I went and got another master's in computer science. Then then after my master's in computer science, basically, I went to work for Wall Street for several years. And that's where, I was basically dealing with cutting edge technology, and as well as a lot of money, on Wall Street. So then that's where, after working several years, and I felt, all right, making money is fun, it's very rewarding, and obviously getting a high pay, but I really want to, shift maybe my focus a little bit, in terms of doing something that I really enjoy, deep inside my heart. And then that's that I and then I started inner thinking, I thinking, I was pondering, I think, what really makes me happy? What, is it just making a lot of money, or is it actually being able to, or if, to help others, or doing something else? So, and so it was, it's a sort of an inner battle, so in the end, I felt, okay, it is actually true happiness, it comes, from actually being able to help a lot of other people, actually help their resolve their issues, and actually have a personal level impact that will actually make me more happy than, making a lot of money. So that's why, I decided to go into law. And as far as my studying of finance, the Harvard, right? It's actually I want to actually in the future, to actually open a bank. So that's why, I actually want to get some deeper knowledge, in banking, so that's why I'm, taking classes at Harvard to toward my future goal.